100% off the strength, man.
Off the strength.
I did it all on the strength, all on the strength. Fuck talking, I'ma do this off the strength.
Run it back, can't relax, that's just facts off the strength.
It's off the strength. Can't get that off the strength.
You know what I always appreciate, man? I appreciate a good hood prophet every now and then, man.
Hood prophet?
A hood prophet.
Name one right now.
The hood prophets that I come across don't have names. They're just like vagabonds in the streets.
Okay.
These are people who would debate you on topics and give you the full scientific breakdown on stuff that ironically would have one shred of actual information that is plausible, but then it goes completely crazy.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest with you, in recent days, with the fucking drones flying around and everything else going on, the hood prophets have been prophesizing on every corner.
What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
I was walking past, I caught a little side conversation. I heard this homie breaking down and debunking the whole Christmas miracle to a bunch of young dudes that was really sitting there and actually entertaining the crazy shit that he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
He got into the deep science about...
How many words rhymed?
All of them, damn near. That's what I'm saying. So you do know what I mean when I say
know exactly what you mean, yeah.
He started breaking down, yo, man, you know what? You know what don't make sense about the whole birth of Christ, yo? This is the one thing that he stood on. He was like, yo, it's like 120 degrees out there in the desert, man. You can't be wrapping babies up in the mangers and all of that. I was like, dog. That's the one thing that you're circling?
That's the one.
What's good, everybody? What's good?
Oh, my word.
Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength. We're giving you an inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listen to the all type from near and far. You are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yeah, yay!
Now, Brother Jones, I talk about some of these hood prophets going off the rails, my friend. But hopefully you was on the rails in your own respective path this week. How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling like I need to hit the block then to get the good word from the hood
some
prophet.
Crazy words.
You know?
I ain't even going to break down how they was really getting into the Warhol versus Basquiat conversation.
Nope.
But let me just say... It's a lot of fatigue in this conversation when they was talking about what was really happening between Warhol and Basquiat.
I just watched the HBO documentary not that long ago. You know, Jeffrey Wright actually played Basquiat.
I did not know that, but I did see that a long time ago.
Whoever did his locks in that film need to be psychologically evaluated. But you asked me about my week, brother.
Yes.
That's neither here nor
Let's
there.
get back to that.
The week for me was one of those things where it's a cold world outside.
Okay.
But I had to keep my heart warm.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't charge it to the mind or the heart, so to speak. I'm just out here. I'm like, you know what? Let me romanticize my life a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like the last couple of pods, we came in hot, talking about how, you know, living just enough for the city and all that. This week, I feel like the heart was warm, man. I've been seeing little, like, moments of just like, wow, I'm not a kid anymore, but I appreciate kids living their best life. I'm still giving a cold shoulder to anybody in traffic that ain't moving at the right speed that they need to be, but I feel warm-hearted about it.
If they look at your life, they see what you seek. I like that for you,
see
man.
you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah, man. I also like the idea of you kind of having the Toys R Us kid mentality inside there, like a rodent. You know, I can see you being there. Bikes, toys, video games, all of that.
Magazine every year. Circled the whole damn magazine. Got nothing out of the magazine
At all.
I want this. That's cool. That'd be crazy. Here, Mom, this is what I like for Christmas.
They will never know, bro.
You open that Macy's box with them fucking clothes in there.
Got a couple polos, bro. Here you go,
Damn
champ.
it. How many sweater vests do I need, Mom?
Yeah, they coordinated, though. Don't forget about it.
Corduroys? They not wearing these in the streets.
They're warm. Keep them on.
And that's my
your week.
breakdown, brother. How
Man.
about you, man? How was your week?
The theme for my week is the time is now, Kyle. But before I get into the theme for the week, you know, I was very much locked into trying to put my head down and get ready for everything for 2025. But I did have a little chance to step out, so I do got to shout out everybody with the social cycling crew. I did not do the start to the ride, but anytime they end out in Brooklyn, I'm going to pop out and say what's up to the folks. So that was my Thursday.
Okay.
Got a chance to kick it with them over there. I followed that up with a chance to go out and kick it with a couple people for a coat drive and food pantry that I'm going to tie into my Relax Responsibly a little later on. So I got to shout out everybody at Neighbors Together in Bed-Stuy, because this was definitely something that was warming my heart too, much like yours, Kyle.
Okay.
But I'm going to get back into the theme for the week, and that time is now is something that I want to talk about in this week's Ask the Professional, my brother.
Talk to me.
Now, as we approach the new year, many people feel the urgency to make meaningful and impactful changes in their health and wellness journeys. With the theme of the time is now, do you have any practical actions that the good listeners out here can take and set themselves up for success in the next coming year, Kyle?
It's funny because I was going back and listening to the podcast, obviously because we podcast and you got to listen to it like game tape.
Run it back.
About a week ago, you asked me a question about a practice of mine that I had, and I don't know where I was, but I completely ignored the question.
You don't say.
In my mind, I was like, oh, damn, I didn't even answer his question. And I feel like you've brought it up again in this way. So what comes to mind first is my journaling practice.
Okay.
At the end of the year, I would always write a letter to myself, and it would only be, that last day of the year, pretty much just reflecting what the year was like.
I tried to throw the lob, but it went into the crowd, bro.
You tried to throw the lob, and I wasn't even in the game, fam. I was on a different sport that day.
You was at the concession stand.
I was getting a snack for sure. But the journaling practice is something that has really helped me because, one, it was a way for me to get my emotions out. A lot of times we live in our head, and in order for you to let that escape, you physically have to write it down on a paper. I encourage this behavior for if you are mad, if you have to have a rough conversation with somebody, type it out first. Like literally say everything you have to say, get it out, and then go back and revise it. As far as the end of the year recap for me, writing down what I accomplished this year is such an intense practice because you really have to analyze, like, well, what did I set out to do and what actually happened? Now, from that point, you then have the opportunity to plan. What does next year look like? What don't you want to repeat? What do you want to change? What do you want to add? What do you want to reduce? All of that can literally start the minute you write it down. And if you don't take that time to do it, I mean, you're just going to keep thinking and dreaming, and that actualization doesn't happen. So the time is now is when you hear this, write that shit. Put it in your phone, type it on your laptop, do whatever you got to do, but get it out of your head and onto something.
There we go. Time for some action. Okay, I got a couple recommendations that I want to run through really quick in the same topic. So I think it's important. One of the ways to keep you off of that loop of just repeating the same actions and not getting a clear result is to set a clear goal. Now, we've talked about this as the most basic principle inside of what our personal training lives has been. But a lot of people will have such a wide and ambiguous goal that it is very hard for you to actually set any kind of measure to it, right?
Stop right there.
All right.
I don't want people to not have that wide, ambiguous goal. It's important to have that in reach, but what you do need is to structure that goal.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going into. You need to break it down. You have to start with the small actionable steps that will lead you to what you want to dream big for, right? Yep. Then you have to track your progress, because if you don't track your progress, again, you setting out to go sail across the seas, you don't know where you're going to end up. It's like you're going to land somewhere, but is that the place that you actually desire to land? And then finally, you need people to keep you accountable along that route. So all of those things collectively, I think, are pretty good for helping you set and achieve those clear and decisive goals, okay? Two more really quick. You need to build sustainability into your habits. We keep talking about why consistency is something that's key. The more you show up with the frequency that you need to achieve one of those goals, you will start that streak and you will be surprised how those incremental steps, again, push you in the right direction. And then last but not least, you need to prioritize a mindset of self-compassion. Because often in those times when you are feeling like the goal might be a little too far out of the reach, this is when we start to get in some of that negative self-talk that I failed should be replaced by something like I learned. That whole cataloging all the stuff that you did achieve as compared to all the stuff that you didn't achieve, so really just giving yourself an appreciation for where you are today and how that has advanced from where you were yesterday is going to be the things that I think get you on the right track right now.
You said a lot there, brother. You got anything else you want to get off your chest?
That's it, man.
All right.
The time is now, Kyle. The place is here.
Yeah.
Live on the block of the rock. And from here on, I'm going to move into a little bit of the good.
Okay.
I'm going to move into some bad.
All right.
And it's time to talk about a little bit of questionable stuff this week. That's right, Kyle. It's time for Rip from the Headlines. And coming in hot, Kyle, when I say the letters S-G-A to you, what comes to mind?
You must be talking about that basketball player.
Why do you sound like
I don't know. I was
you doing basketball from the 70s all of a
just show
sudden?
teams. I got into my Clyde, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That boy's game is smooth. It's like butter and ice.
That's a nasty mix. But his butter and ice like play, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is somebody who does get buckets on the regular. He plays at a high level, and he's been somebody on the Oklahoma City Thunder that has been responsible for why that team is a highly competitive team today, right?
On top of that, I would say he's expanded the floor a little bit too by stepping into fashion heavy and repping his Canadian heritage pretty fly, waving that flag, you know?
He's carrying a full Canadian card at all times, and he is stepping out into fashion, which was the topic of conversation this week. Now, questionably on the sideline, as he was changing, getting ready to go into the game, some people had some real, I say, tough interrogations about something that they thought he was wearing just for strictly fashion purposes.
Being as though I am the one that's a little more rough around the edges, if you will, the organic thug. It looked like the nigga had on a sports bra, right? It ain't no way to put it. It looked very much like, oh, you're wearing a sports bra to be politically correct.
Nah, you know the Boondocks when they had Thugalicious and like all the different wear that he came out?
It's an undershirt.
That definitely was coming across in that mindset, man.
With your belly button out.
Belly button was out, and it definitely looked a little different. But upon further investigation,
You gotta look deeper.
I found out that this was not a sports bra, and it in fact was a complicated monitor for sports movements all over the place. So I looked into the company Catapult, and Kyle, let me tell you, Catapult is letting people unleash athleticism at a level that I did not know was currently available today. So they exist at the intersection of sports science and analytics, right? Catapult literally turns you into a full-on NBA 2K player for your coaches on the sideline, meaning you will see a power meter, you'll see energy and endurance stats, you'll see how sharp of a cut you just made, how many free throws you got left in you before you start to get into the zones where you're going to be fatigued. They really are trying to use technology to cut down on any kind of injuries and help you get the most out of your athletes at every single turn. And man, it's legitimately over 4,000 different teams, elite teams, that are using this type of technology that I just found out about as soon as they pointed this out on the sidelines. The level of athletic analysis that's available today is unlike anything that I've ever seen. So aside from the jokes that we started off with, what's your actual initial thoughts about the future of these athletics?
It's a bittersweet moment. Mm-hmm. We always get to this point on this podcast specifically of, does more information yield better results, right? And to have access to a technology like this, it makes a lot of sense, especially at a performance level where this is your career path. This is literally, you are padding stats to get payouts, so to speak, right? That makes sense. If it trickles down into the lower level, maybe like college,
It's
maybe
in colleges for sure.
See, that's when it gets tricky for me, right? Because then it starts to take away from the natural born talent. It takes away from, you know what I mean? I would say
There's intangibles that you have that probably won't show up on a stat sheet.
Yeah.
That may come from, you know, the mentality and the adages of yesteryear that are never going to be picked up by even as complex of a monitor as this is, right? So I do give that credence.
That's all that I'm trying to give the space for. Like, I'm trying to elaborate on a player like a Dennis Rodman. Imagine if Dennis Rodman wore something like this.
See, but Dennis Rodman was also a freak athlete.
His stats would be crazy, but also, like, what kind of information could you have given Dennis Rodman then to be even better?
Dennis Rodman also would have already had a sports bra on, so you do with that what you will. He would have been double brought up.
I can't even argue that. You know what I mean?
You ain't do the deep dive.
He had more than a sports bra on, so I guess I answered my own question.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony. You know, he actually might have pioneered this.
He started. We got to give Dennis the respect he needs, man. On some other shit, like, for real, you're starting to see this level of analytics come into play, Kyle, because of the franchises and the universities specifically. You talked about the player benefit, and I assure you that there is going to be a benefit that players will see from having this much advanced analytics on how they move around. The athletes are investments. The university side and professional sports side, people are paying this money out, and they want everything that they can do to get a really good amount of information on any type of investment that they make. So when you look at it from that perspective, that more information is going to be something that plays out into how contracts is going to be negotiated going forward.
It's a direct through line to your compensation, in which your body is now your greatest asset.
It definitely can be.
You can't put a price on a body, on a human being, you know?
And you can't, but people have been doing that since we have founded this great country that you are in, Kyle.
That's the issue.
And that is what's going to move me right from out of here. See, the fit tech streets have been really heating up this week, my man. I'm going to get out of that story. And I'm going to move into this next story. Now, Kyle, we have talked about Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo.
I was about to say, you put
a little too much seasoning on that. Cristiano Ronaldo, Kyle, has launched his own recovery line called Ava, right? Now, Ava is going to be coming from this world-renowned pro soccer player, and it's going to be a direct competitor with Hyperice and Therabody. So he's put out a line of different percussion guns, of different types of therapeutic boots, things that would be very familiar to anybody who spent time inside of an athletic training facility. But he has the Hyperice light boots that have now he's put his advancements was to put the infrared lights directly inside the boots. He also has something similar to like a Game Ready there, where it's doing cryotherapy as well, but it's self-contained, you know, and it's really just something to see that this latest move also is in addition to him rolling out his own fitness training app earlier this year as well. Seeing this type of industry come about from one player in particular is something that is pretty interesting, and being able to build something that is going to really make it contested to be in the recovery space.
I'm here for this. I feel like a lot of times we often get this conflated idea that there can only be one. Like Hyperice is the only recovery company. Yeah. There's Normatec. There's so many other things that actually contribute to this wellness pot, right? When I think about Cristiano Ronaldo, I think that's how you say it. That sounds about right.
That's it.
He is making this power move because he's a power player. Yeah. Like, he's arguably one of the greatest to ever do it. And when you really unpack the Euro switches and things of that nature, the plug-in is not the same. They needed their own situation.
Coming from overseas.
When you go overseas, you're going to find out you can't charge your phone the way you charge your phone in America. It's different, right? They need to recharge differently. So I'm here for this exploration that he's into.
Bigger than that, to me, I like seeing athletes create their own centers of industry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yo, you are starting to see endorsements was the old wave. I'm moving further and further away from putting my name on something that I don't own. Like, how often do you hear Kobe Bryant's name at all brought up in Hyperice? And if you know what Hyperice is, Kobe Bryant's whole family should be benefiting off of something that I don't know that they're benefiting off of.
Of course not.
Singularly. It's not. It doesn't go further than Kobe before they get put on. Seeing athletes start to recognize that and take that into their own hands is something that I'm always going to celebrate, always going to champion, and I need to find how I get my hands on some Ava right now, bro.
It reminds me of the Jaylen Brown and the little necklace that he be wearing. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
We'll cover that later. The myth will be debunked on that too.
More will be revealed on this necklace. Now, Kyle, we're coming into the holiday season with some unlikely pairings. You know, there's some stuff that people mix together sometimes that raises a little bit of an eyebrow. Kyle, Jane Fonda and Ludacris teaming up was something that I did not have on my bingo card to finish out the year 2024. But it is something that is surely going to stir some definite different emotions inside the fitness training holiday season this year, my man. Did you see anything about Jane Fonda coming back with Let's Get Physical, but for the modern era, bro?
Yes, I did. Obviously, because you sent it to me, but then also I'm tapped into that world, so I probably would have come across it my own. I think about Jane Fonda's legacy and how she started into wellness and how she raised people on her movement. But I also have seen Grace and Frankie on Netflix. Like, that's the show that I go to heavy. Like, that's the show that I watch. When you unpack Ludacris being groomed, if you will, to be the next Snoop Dogg.
That's kind of what it looks like. It's Bizarro, Snoop, and Martha. But I'm trying to understand
Ludacris is only following in Snoop Dogg's footsteps, right? And there's a through line through it. I don't know if Snoop's a Virgo, but he might be close to it. You know what I'm saying?
The lyrical breakdown is where I get really concerned. Because in one of their videos, they talking about when I move, you move, just like that.
Yeah.
And you know,
Hey, DJ, bring that back.
Jane is keeping up, but now when they start to get to the I want to lick you from your head to your toes in the lyrical breakdown, this is where I'm turning off, man.
A lot of people forget Luda's from the South, you know, and he likes to go south of the border. His words, not mine, you know.
So Jane Fonda is back at 86 with new virtual workouts for Supernatural on the Meta Quest. And this VR headset, first of all, an 86-year-old taking on a VR headset is a long stretch for me, just to understand how this actually working out, but I'm not going to knock her. The Supernatural platform where she's serving as your celebrity guest host, it also comes with an immersive environment where she is going to now be doing that Let's Get Physical workout on the side of a mountain somewhere. You're going to be doing all kind of advanced kickboxing moves in 3D worlds that are all over the place, and it is going to be available this Christmas. That's right, December 25th is where they're rolling this out. And somehow, some way, Ludacris launched himself into outer space in the Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
And this is where he landed. Nobody understood where he was coming down. Now I see. Full
the
circle.
Next Snoop Dogg, bro. He going to be at the Olympics next year. I guarantee it.
This 80s hit is now coming into a whole new generation, man. So I had to talk about that a little bit because, again, it was something that was mind-bending to me. But shout out to her for doing what she is. Again, a fitness icon. I cannot knock, but Mark and them have gotten her into the metaverse. And this is going to be something that's going to bring me into my last little point, Kyle. This augmented reality and AI is starting to take us into different directions that I think are starting to have impacts that people are now really putting into a different level of appraisal, right?
Okay.
So I was looking at an article from Method, right? Now, did you see anything about the Adidas All AI ad that came out?
I did, actually.
So the floral ad, for anybody that doesn't know, was an ad produced completely by AI, regenerative AI, right? And it featured different people in this new floral print that's supposed to be coming out by Adidas that was completely generated strictly off of the augmented reality, right? The article goes on to detail something about attention versus consumption. And I really do think that that's going to be the breakdown that I want to focus in on. Specifically as a creative, we make some of this stuff that is for attention purposes and for consumption purposes, but you lose a little bit of the value when you see things like this start to come to play because it makes it feel a little more hollow, right? So it feels hollow because of the world of AI is just something that is moving so fast that we consume it just as fast. It's like, oh, wow, this looks great. This is amazing. But nobody put time, energy, and effort into it. So I'm not going to regard it as something that I should put time, energy, and effort into kind of, you know, emulate that same level of human creativity. I want to understand what you think the value of human creativity is going to mean as these technologies continue to advance.
I think everyone's having this conversation about AI replacing them. The reality is someone that knows how to use AI is going to replace you.
Yeah,
not
for sure.
AI itself. When it comes to the creativity and the human element, you can't replicate that. It can only be one of two things where you're then reaching back into an older generation who had their own creative ideas and trying to get them to work with this new tool, or you have people that have grown within this tool realm and only know how to create in that. And you need to find that happy medium somewhere. You're always going to need that in person. The same with wellness. We're talking about personal training, right? We're talking about having someone in the room to hold you accountable to getting better. Point blank. It doesn't have to be anything better than that. And you need that in wellness. You need that in creative spaces. You need that in restaurants. You need that everywhere along the line in order for the best possible product to be in front of you.
To date, we haven't been able to replicate the human element just yet.
I don't know. They saying Jamie Foxx a clone for sure.
But
I don't know.
You have to understand that it also is going to have a diminishing return just like everything else, my man. So for that authenticity and that authenticity alone, that's where that landed me in this week's Good, Bad, and Ugly, my brother. How did the fitness streets treat you?
Man, that was a lot, bro. You really put your heart and soul into these stories, man.
The Fit Tech Talks, man.
I hear it.
I'm a pioneer in Fit Tech Talks.
One day you're going to get your flowers, and they're going to be AI generated.
They will be. A fresh bouquet.
Now, I want to draw your attention to something that came across my timeline, brother. Now, when you think about these exercise bikes, a lot of times it's very dull. It's not that fun. You've had people jazz it up like Peloton that'll give you a screen or something to entertain yourself. Mm-hmm. But what if I told you there were people that were entertaining themselves with a Rocky montage on the wheel of your stationary bike?
That's cool. I like the art there. And at the same point in time, if you paying attention to what's on his montage, let me let you know that one of the homies that did something a little too close to the spinning wheel on the free wheel, he ain't here no more. So do this at your own discretion.
That was a rough time with that person that was lost. We're not going to speak on that.
But
what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is we're looking at a Rocky training montage that has photographs that are being placed on this spinning wheel from your stationary bike of him just working out to give you that inspiration. You know, the eye of the tiger.
Do we have a modern equivalent to the Rocky training montage?
They not like us.
That's the modern equivalent to the workout.
Like, you gotta get your step on.
I can't even think of a movie that gets you to be like, "Yo, I gotta get my shit together. I'm gonna start doing
Rocky,
this."
I don't know, Pursuit of Happiness of Will Smith. Because everybody's struggling.
Swing and a miss.
I don't know, man.
It's not doing it.
We don't have cinematic films like we used to.
You never threw blue chips on and was like, "I gotta go get some buckets."
Nah, maybe How to Be a Player or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
You alone.
That was game tape. You know. Speaking of game tape. Now, I too had my ignorant thoughts about the sports bra and the catapult, but we're going to leave that alone because, when TikTok just shows you a video, you just see somebody in a sports bra that don't look like they should be in one, so you get confused, but we unpack that. Ill-informed, so I'm telling you to go back and get your results. So I'm going to leave that alone, but I will talk about being on the subway. Now, you wrote the subway in today. Now,
unfortunately, yes.
New York City subway... It's pretty unpredictable at times. How would you feel about seeing somebody on the subway get out of the subway to race in the street to beat it to the next stop?
Yeah, if I see any of this foolishness happening on my train, I already told you how somebody who was walking up to me to say hi was going to get treated if they don't address why they're here.
Imagine you're a passenger and there's two gentlemen on the train in running attire. The door opens, doom, doom. Homie jets out of the train, running through people.
Immediately, see something, say something.
The next stop, you see him out of breath, jump back in on the train.
He will get, this is Sparta level kick dead in the chest. If you running into the train out of breath, like people don't be operating understanding that your foolishness doesn't have nothing to do with everybody else that's on the train.
I mean, this is a hawker athlete, if you will, and he's labeled out from top to bottom, and he literally raced the subway.
I'm telling you, this is Sparta. Bam!
Do you think you have it in you to
absolutely not
to leave from the door opening to the next stop to make it back on the train?
I don't have it in me to be on the train. We don't have to go no further than that. And when inacclimate weather has stricken and it does not make sense for me to be on my bike, then and only then is the time that I have to be on the MTA services, bro. None other than when I am like at my last option. This is when I'm there. I never want to be in that space.
That 290 hit different. Now, sliding out of that, Brother Tone, because that was a little bad, I would say. I want to get into something that was ugly that came across my screen.
Okay.
Now, this was an article from Intel's, actually. And this news popped up on my timeline and said 91% of people are no longer friends with someone they called their best friend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unpack that. Why? Before I dive into
These people been lying about their best friends and their besties. Let's just be honest about that. Y'all don't like none of your friend criteria to begin with.
The term gets thrown around loosely.
Way too loose.
And I think a lot of people bless folks with that term well before they should and really unpack who they are.
At ages that don't make sense for you to be dubbing somebody your bestie. It's like, hey, check this out. Your decisions at 10 versus your decisions at 30 are not the same.
And if they are the same, you need some help.
I cannot let you still carry this title all the way through those years.
In this article, they say friends are forever, but it turns out that adage is not quite true. More than 2/3 of Americans say they have lost at least 90% of the friends that they had 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. You lose more friends when entering romantic relationships than when leaving one. Entering a relationship is the third biggest cause of losing friends.
I never lost a friend because I got into a relationship. Again, I got to put that in the perspective.
I lost a lot of female friends.
Were they friends? That's why I'm going to come back to
a relationship.
I'm going to bring it right back to the same topic of conversation.
There was some dudes too.
Were they friends or were they options? I ain't going to ask you about the dude side of that. Respect to your politics, however you got to give it up.
The second reason being, moving away to a new city and simply drifting apart. 30% of the respondents admit they have lost friends in a breakup as well.
Yeah, in a breakup is crazy, but I can understand in a breakup easier. Because if y'all now have shared friends and that commingling of friend groups, once y'all break, y'all got to kind of divide. Like, yo, who's taking who? You could get Charles every third Saturday. I'm taking Tabitha on the weekends.
It's a lot to unpack.
It's crazy.
So surprisingly, people at age 55 and up are nearly twice as likely to have over 15 close friends than those between the ages of 18 and 24.
Yeah, at 55, you chose up. It's like, I know who I am.
At 55, you just trying not to go alone. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I need somebody to come with me.
Yeah,
you know?
The barrier of entry is significantly different.
I thought this was just interesting. We talked about friendship and what it means a while back. I think a loose definition of friendship is like, yo, have you been in my home? Have we shared a meal together? If two of those things haven't happened, I don't know if I can call you my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got history. It ain't no love lost, but like, you ain't, all kinfolk ain't skinfolk.
I didn't say that.
Or all skinfolk ain't kinfolk.
Either way.
You see what I did? Both ways, so you know which way it goes. I just thought that was interesting. I actually don't lose that many friends, believe it or not. Like the ones that I jokingly said earlier, they weren't really friends.
That's what I was saying. Let's get to the definition of who they were.
We were friends with benefits. And see, the benefits couldn't come with the friendship, and so now the benefits had to leave because the friendship had to go because it was an attachment.
Yeah.
You can't have attachment. It's like when you got a +3, you can't bring 4. 4 got to pay, and 4 don't want to pay, so 4 can't be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that tricky definition and that tricky math that you just laid out is exactly what I said. What's a friend mean in that scenario that you lost?
How many of us have them? Ones we can depend on, Tone, I don't know. We're going to slide out of that because I think that's quite ugly, and we're going to get into our Raising the Bar segment.
Let's raise it up then.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you're now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
I got one simple question for you, and that's it. We're just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
What has 2024 taught you?
2024 has taught me to complete the assignment. And that has been something that I started off as an intention for the year, but I never knew how dedicated I had to be to actually see that all the way through, down to the last week of 2024. There has been plenty of different things that I would have taken me off the course that I think I need to be on and would have shaken me to the core of my beliefs in a lot of different ways and situations. But the foundation and the fabric that I keep coming back to and I keep seeing having that reasonable area where I can call hope is completing the assignment, seeing it all the way through, even if it doesn't bring me what I think it was going to bring me in a time. The other lessons or the other gifts that I've been afforded by seeing something through is exactly what I want to take into 2025.
I like it. I mean, completing the assignment, I think it does add that academia kind of feel to it, right? Mm-hmm. Where I was an okay student. Mm-hmm. I was an okay student because I only applied myself when I wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. I was smart enough to know what I needed to do to like skate and then do just a little bit more to be above that where I'm not a slacker, but I'm also not overachieving either.
Yeah.
Right. And I think finding that rhythm, so to speak, within yourself is you then realizing more about yourself, right? Realizing what it is that you really want, what it is that you're willing to do, but then also finding what those assignments are. Once you find those assignments, what kind of advice could you give somebody to staying on track or staying on task with completing it?
For me, it really does come to that scholastic aspect. Like a lot of people get, I think, the institution of school confused with what the structure of school can offer you, yes. Right? I think a lot of people have closed their textbooks at whatever age and phase that they decide to close a book.
Way too soon, in my personal opinion, but that's just me.
Also decided to never go back and to try to apply that, right?
Yep.
So if I could give, when the pressure's on, a better performance to get what used to be a C up to a B plus or what used to be a B minus up to an A, if I could do that at different points in times and different intervals where I'm gaming the system, one, what are you really training yourself to do? How are you training yourself to approach an assignment? Because the school of life does not play by the same rules. The school of life and the school of hard knocks is going to not have the same kind of dedication to a deadline that you honestly used to be forced upon you, but now this deadline is going to be, hey, you could either do this or you don't. There's no pressure. There's nobody watching you, looking over your shoulder to make you complete the assignment. So when you remove that pressure, do you also remove the ability to perform at that level? I think a lot of people have that as a misnomer. It's like, oh, okay, I could do it whenever I want. I can show up whenever I want. And it's like, yo, sometimes that's going to play out to not be to your benefit. Sometimes waiting for this disproportionate amount of pressure on you to perform at a high level is going to cost you something, right? Completing an assignment isn't just about meeting that one deadline. It's about like going all the way back to the beginning. What do you see for yourself in that? Like, is it on somebody else to hold you to a standard, or can you hold yourself to a same level standard and, you know, ability that you would actually take some pride in and see how far that actually does go? What does it look like when you actually do give a fuck? What does it look like to fail when you did try your absolute hardest? Where do you want to go from that? I think some of those lessons are things that you have to learn only by going through them. Otherwise, you end up living in that I could have did, I should have did, or I could have had, I should have had if I really tried. Like, some people walk around with that as a full-fledged belief that is blinding you from what your actual progress can be.
All right. I mean, I felt like you just took them to church. You just gave them a little sermon on life, on what it costs, on what it needs to be. For me, I'm thinking about this term that I've been hearing a lot, especially in 2024, was reshuffling the deck. Okay. Right. And I'm not really a gambling man. Every once in a while, I like to get a little poker, a little cigar.
Can't never do it for me.
But low stakes, you know what I'm saying? $50 buy-in. We ain't doing nothing crazy.
I'm going to be mad if I lose $1 to somebody that I had to work for.
Nonetheless, reshuffling the deck is simply about playing the cards that are dealt. Yeah. You're not going to win every hand. No. In fact, you're going to probably lose way more times than you win. Assuredly. Just statistically. Right? But playing your best hand, giving your best effort, putting your best foot forward is always going to yield better results in any loss, right? Because now you have learned something. Now you have information, right? And when it comes to this game of life, listen, life ain't but a dice game. Mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? One day you rolling trips, next day, you know, snake eyes. You strike out. Cracks. You gotta keep playing the game. And when I think about 2024 and the reflections that I've had personally, it's just like, damn, like every level that you achieve in this game, there's another one. And then you beat the boss. And it's like, all right, bet I won this. I'm the king of this. And it's like, yo, it's another game starting over there. What? I thought this was it. I could stay on this level. It's never ending. And the gamification of life can only allow you to keep your self-care regimen, right? Like, keep your wits with you. Keep your Wolverine-ness, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like, it helps keep you growing. I think ultimately in those ebbs and flows and in those moments of trying to keep momentum going, that's what growth is. Yeah. Like, anything that's not going through that, I'll put it on people. Look at the people who decided to check out at different points in times and they stop being a part of that game. Yeah. Right? It's not necessarily the compare and contrast aspect of it where I need to get X, Y, or Z, or I need to, you know, move and level up myself just to be around a bunch of people that I don't ultimately care about. It's like when you stop fighting, when you stop overcoming resistance, you start dying effectively. Yeah. I've seen it happen creatively. I've seen it happen physically. I've seen it happen emotionally. I've seen it literally take people out this game. Financially. Absolutely. It's like, yo, what are you actually trying to move towards? And when you don't have something to set your compass to, that's when everything starts to atrophy. Man, I don't think the folks out there know what atrophy means, but just know that they got a lot of it because they ain't working and their muscles is dying down.
Somebody just told you were cute from the outside, live on the block of the rock.
Yeah,
appreciate you. Thank you.
See, this is the foot traffic we don't need. And we're going to slide out of that and we're going to slide into relaxing responsibly, Brother Tom.
There was going to be some very irresponsible things that she was just trying to mouth to you.
Remember the last lady who put the tits on the glass, you know.
It's always around Christmas. I don't know why. Why does that bring that energy out?
That's when they warm. Speaking of, well, it's the end of the year, Tone. And before we get into relaxing responsibly, I think we need to get in the top 5, a best and worst kind of list. You know what I'm saying? Because you're bringing up things from the past. Yeah. And I would like to think that you got some future stuff.
Well, I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the best and worst that I had in 2024 for sure, Kyle. You know, one thing that I want to see leave 2024, never coming into 2025, fad diets in every single aspect of it. You put a new name on a fad diet,
they still do those?
Yes.
Really?
From keto, which was paleo before.
Facts.
Which is it's Atkins remix.
I was about to say Atkins. I remember that.
They all the same shit.
Little Jenny Craig.
We need to kill all that.
Slim fast.
Now people are doing the intermittent fasting. Like,
what was the joint Oprah was on? You know what I'm talking about?
Weight Watchers?
Yeah, that was the one.
All of them fads. I want them to die in 2024.
They marketing is just WW now. This is Weight Watchers.
Because the Ozempic got them out the game.
Yeah, they had to get 2 letters.
Play with this.
And that, the Ozempic before and after has been going crazy on TikTok.
I was trying to tell you.
The comment section has not been nice to anybody's transition.
This is why fad diets need to die, Kyle. And right next to that, right underneath that, the before and afters, I'm putting fitness influencers in the category that I don't want to see.
Anybody you want to name specifically?
There's a bunch of them, but I'm not going to get to them this day.
Okay.
But the culture of unrealistic body achievement is something that needs to die in 2024. I don't want to see this anymore. Mm-hmm. The community workouts being the new dating scene, also something that I know is going to be in 2025, but I would like to do without this, Kyle. I could tell you, unchecked, it has always resulted in a disastrous situation. Every time. It's never not been a problem when you let it go.
Stop looking for love and sex in the run club. There's no sex in the champagne room.
None. Absolutely none. And you end up losing both. And now
you ain't running and you ain't sexing.
You got to take a whole ass activity out your repertoire when your relationship breaks up.
You can't even go down that block no more.
It's crazy, bro. I don't want to see none of that. And then last but not least, my man, this is akin to, the iPhone finger that you gave us a little earlier this year.
Okay.
The tech neck is something that I want to see everybody get rid of. Right? There's a lot of open mouth breathing people moving through the block of the rock right now as we speak. I'm looking at a bunch of tech necks, and I want them to protect their necks out.
Tech neck is crazy. Because when you really start to unpack what that means, you get into your thoracic and your cervical vertebrae.
Hello! The tech neck. Look at the tech neck. They out here.
I just want to unpack that just briefly because I feel like the science is there and people don't know. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Oh, my God.
Breakfast, you got 7 almost messed it up. Cervical. You got 7 cervical vertebrae, right? And then you got lunch where you got 12 thoracic vertebrae. And then dinner is 5. You got 5 lumbar vertebrae, right? Tech neck refers to your 7 and your T1 is
you
they're
like
not seeing eye to eye.
No, they are seeing eye to eye. That's the problem. You are looking at your sternum. If you can see your belt while you're listening to this,
they spread out. They not in alignment. They making a right angle. You know what I mean? And you looking down. Your chin is in your phone, and your neck looks crazy because you got like this little dinosaur hump now.
The hump.
Yeah.
Tech neck is a real thing, bro.
They're gonna be humpback Notre Dame.
Those are my worst from 2024 that I don't want to bring forward. What are some of yours?
Man, if we talking worse, if we talking fitness equipment, I'm gonna throw that basketball hoop on the list.
That's the tech-enabled basketball hoop. Why'd you call it hoop?
Because it's got 2 U's.
You sound like Stewie from Family Guy.
Hoop. That's what it is.
Whip.
They thought I forgot. I'm just letting you know I still don't need this basketball goal. That's first on my list.
Not even a smaller one?
No! I don't want it. We don't need a tech basketball goal outside in the streets. If it hasn't been stolen yet, I would partition to get it stolen. Sliding out of that, worst sneaker collab I saw might have been Lil Yachty and the Concrete Boys.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was a collab. I saw that and I was just kind of like,
it was an Air Force One with a silhouette on the outside of a concrete worker. I could do without it.
I feel like how is that a collab? I feel like they used to make those for like record labels back in the day where they just throw your little logo on the back.
Yeah, the Rockefeller Forces.
Everybody had
Fat
one.
Joe had a pair.
Literally everybody
I remember
had
the Puerto Rican ones going crazy.
You see what I'm saying?
The Brazilians might have actually been my favorite. Nothing on that list screams Concrete Boys. Sliding out of that, worst artist by far would have to be Aubrey Graham. We're gonna just throw Drake.
He's on your list.
He's just on the list for just the worst. Like I can't think of anything good he did this year. I ain't see a God's Plan video and none of that. So until he gets rid of my student loan debt, I can't really help him. You know, if we talking equipment, I'm gonna have to go ahead and put that little what do you call it? The pole that we have.
Power pole?
Power pole is number one on the list for worst fitness equipment for me.
It's getting the strokes up, man. It's helping people out here get that good hip extension when you need
If your
it.
stroke was already that, you wouldn't even need it.
You gotta let people leave, man. Come on, bro. All right, I'm gonna give you I say best and worst athletic apparel inside the category, right? Okay. I've talked about this company many different times. I think they have attacked the gym in a way that nobody else has. I gotta give Gymshark my best athletic apparel for the year. I don't necessarily wear it. I would not adorn it. But the level of ground that they have covered in this year's time, unprecedented, bro.
I can't talk bad about it, but what I will say is it reminds me of Skechers, right? Like Skechers growing up wouldn't be caught dead in them. But then you give Snoop a contract. Julius Randle is now a Skechers athlete and getting sneakers. And that versatility reminds me of a lot of Gymshark. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm going to go from the Gymshark as being the best acceleration to Nike having one of the worst fall-offs I've ever seen in the same year. Coming off that Concrete Boy situation was definitely one of many that have bricked this whole year, man. I don't know what has happened at the Nike organization. They changed the CEOs. They're trying to realign with where they want to go forward, but I feel like the boat is passed, bro.
The yacht has passed, if you will.
The yacht has passed.
Man, well, if we talking best for me, I would have to say collabs. I love what Tyler, the Creator, was doing with Converse.
Tyler has always come out with a solid collab.
He's always come out with a solid collab, but consistently. And this latest LaFleur ad that he had has a little bit of everything in there where he's really putting together a timeless run of just great stuff. So
yeah,
if Ludacris is following the Snoop Dogg path, I love Tyler, the Creator, following the Pharrell path.
He also has a collaboration with the NFL, I think, that's just coming out too.
Yes, with jackets for teams. I believe they're like Michelin S jackets, something of that sort.
Yeah, he's pushing the envelope in his category, man. I can't knock him for it.
If we're talking equipment, my best would have to be that Zenko Life vaporizer, Tone.
Okay.
You know,
let's hear about this.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think that is the wine carafe-like device that allows you to take any of your concentrates or oil pens and turn it into...
When you want to elevate your smoke game.
A nice carafe. You have a good wine decanter almost.
I want all the smoke with Zenko Life.
I like
vaporizer.
It. This somehow turned into a wish list.
You see that? You see what I did there?
I like it. I see your wish list, and I will tell you some of the best things that I'm hopeful for to bring into 2025, and I want to leave away. I want to leave not being at all these different wellness resorts.
Okay.
And I want to walk into 2025 going to some very key places, Kyle. Like I saw a Ruha in New Zealand. I saw Shah Wellness Clinic in Spain. I saw the Kamala Wellness Facility over in Thailand.
The who water?
The Kamala.
Okay.
Not like the one that we were just voting for and all the rest of that.
Oh, you sure you voted for her? She ain't win. I'm sorry.
The ranch out in Malibu, or the Rancho La Puerta over in Mexico. All of these places can get my visitation.
I need a little Rachel's Rancheros over there too. You know what I'm talking about?
So we gonna pull up on, man.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be one of the trends that
Huevos,
really...
I'm sorry.
Huevos Rancheros. Your
Huevos
Duolingo
Rancheros.
card is getting revoked every time you start to drop them.
I missed the day and they froze it for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still at 67. Don't holler at me.
They put you on pause, bro. Another trend that I think is going to really break through from 2024 to 2025, bro. I think that you're going to hear a lot about this alternative beverage market. Now, I know you had your own dalliance with some alternative beverages this week.
I did.
But I see it's only increasing. The level of people who don't want to drink coming into next year, they're starting to push forward something called the Dry January right now, and I'm seeing a lot of companies jump on this. Be sure to pay attention to this in 2025.
When you can buy drugs in a can at a grocery store,
trying to tell you, it's a different world out here.
It's the next level. I ain't gonna hold you.
Then where you come from, bro? I was trying to say, like, yo, the level of high that you can get in your convenience store next door, it's a different level of high, bro. They also, I think, are going to double down on supplements just overall. So CBD is going to be in damn near everything next year.
Yep.
I think the remix of creatine is interesting. So I've always known creatine to be an athletic supplement to support, muscle gain.
I got some in the crib.
Right. They're starting to push creatine as a brain function, a cognitive enhancement drug. And the remixes to creatine as a cognitive enhancement drug is going to accelerate too. Mark my word, bro. I see how it's coming down.
Not drug pushers.
That's it, man. And then the last couple things, what workouts are really going to be breakout and breakthrough coming into next year? Doug, Pilates is going to be something that you see a lot more people getting excited about. which has been here forever.
The pipeline from Pilates to pole dancing, or pole dancing to Pilates,
See, I was about to say it's the inverse.
is actually pretty intense.
And I do think outdoor activities are also going to be around and pretty strong in 2025, man.
Speaking of outdoor activities, Todd Snyder actually had a collab with Woolrich. As you can see here, I'm wearing a lumberjack. But their outdoor wear is top tier, and I am hopeful for one day styling some Todd Snyder to let them know how real players get down.
There we go. Styling and profiling with Brother Jones over here. I like it, man.
Last request would then be a Beast blender.
Okay.
Only because Marshawn Lynch. Now, we've seen this brother in the ad, and we've seen the work that the Beast is capable of, and actually tasted the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I did there?
Shout out to Jack Taylor.
Shout out to Jack Taylor for being the best event that we went to in 2024, which opened my eyes to the aforementioned brands, Beast and Todd Snyder. Holla at me.
Here we go. All right. We got out all the hopefuls and the best for 2024 to 2025.
I'm relaxed just doing that.
I was about to say, we can only take it to a level of relaxation after this, man. It's time to relax responsibly, my brother. But what is Relax Responsibly brought to you in part by?
It's brought to you in part by me, and that is KR Jones, and I'm telling you about movement that I curate for folks. That is at Frequency Movement. I am teaching a roll-up and roll-out class as well as an elevator yoga. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't mention this on air, but I am a part of another teacher training program. So I'll be teaching anatomy to this winter group that will be starting in January, and we'll go until March. But being able to provide education for folks, man, is important. And I think that is what sells these classes. Like, this ain't a weekly yoga class or a weekly stretching class. I don't know any other stretching classes out there, but this is a place where you come to learn about your body.
What does teaching in that setting do for you?
I live for that aha moment. A lot of the times when people would ask me what I wanted out of life, I was like, yo, I want somebody to study for me on a test. I want somebody to be like, KR Jones invented this or came up with this method, and this is why you, whatever it needs to be. But being able to educate people on something as simple as the body you live in seems like it should be known knowledge that just isn't.
It's not simple at all, though.
So having somebody that can speak your language and can explain to you what's going on to help you live a better life, I'm going to die on that hill any and every day, bro.
That's what's up, man. I'm happy to hear that you find that
I just need that hill to compensate me.
Here we go. I'm happy that you found fulfillment, but also need some enrollment, the dollars, donations.
It ain't cheap. You know, you're going to have to pay.
I feel you on that, man. You should be compensated handsomely for your efforts and your works, my man. And speaking of which, I relaxed this week, Kyle. I did not get any, I would say, compensation for my acts, but I do feel like these charitable works, they give me something that is a little bit more valuable than $1 sometimes, bro. So I was relaxing this week when I tapped into the Coat Drive and Food Pantry that I talked about a little bit earlier with Neighbors Together. First of all, to be able to walk into a space that is not expecting you, but you already see some people there that do expect you to be a certain way in certain areas, is something that's always going to be just restorative for me. Oh shit, Tone, you out here, you trying to help, you volunteering. It's like, I didn't know you would do that. Like, why wouldn't you know that about me? And then how can I even show up more to let you know that this is something that's about me? I've long held practices of being a part of different things like that. My pops always used to go out before Christmas started and give out food to different people that was in need. And this was something that's just been instilled in us all the time, that, hey, there's going to be some people that have it differently than you do. Right? If you can do something, if you can offer somebody some type of hand in aid, you should do that, because that's the decent thing to do as a human, right? And I think the level of decency is really what I found relaxing this week, I should say, because I try to treat everybody with the same level of decency, no matter where you are, no matter what is going on in your life, no matter what has happened. We all find ourselves getting a different card dealt, right? Some people don't get the grace that they need to be able to rebound and recover and go in the right directions that, you know, life would articulate for you, but they should still be treated as human beings. And ultimately, a reminder to that is something that's relaxing, even in the midst other times in my life where I'm actually going through a little bit more turbulence. It's like, okay, perspective is a reward in of itself, but make sure you shine that light for people that actually do need it. So that was relaxing for me, man.
I appreciate that. What came up for me, just as we come to a close, I'm here today, present day, standing on 2 feet because of the support that was given to me. Like, I was down bad. I was hit by this fucking ice cream truck. Like, I've had to recover myself for the last 4 months, and I've only made it through those that have helped me make it through, right? Like, the swallow the ego, swallow the pride. Like, I needed help, and I was blessed with a community that could help me, right? So whenever I can give it back, I do. That's why when we talking warm heart, I have no complaints other than the cold shoulder that you get because obviously you in the wrong walking path. But other than that, like, I'm leading with love. I'm walking in steps that have been ordered, and I am blessed beyond measure. And when you can get to a place like that in life, only then can you share that with other people. So I'm here to do that once a week on this microphone.
Okay.
Off the strength. You know what I'm saying? I love that you're doing that for the community. I mean, you was always one of in the community.
But it also, sometimes people get it twisted in their mind that you have to wait until you get to a certain level to be able to help.
Nah.
That's never the case, man. You can help laterally. It's not something that has to be, oh, I got to wait till I'm up to then be able to look back down and give somebody something, you know?
Your time. Your energy.
Your consideration. And that could change the whole day, man.
For sure. Well, I mean, that's really all we got, man. We got to put a bow on this. Anything else you want to get to people while we're here, brother?
Man, I'm hopeful to be able to continue that throughout all my works. I just really want to be able to remind myself that dignity and that decency is something that I want to let punctuate any actions that people see coming forward with me.
I'm hopeful for, 2025, man, being that year that this the one. We say that every year, like the Knicks going to the championship, but for real, it's going to be that.
And the time is now, Kyle. Now,
tick. Boom. There we go.
If they need to know how they can keep up with us and they can find out about any of the things that we detailed about 2024 coming into 2025, where can they tap in to find out more?
You can visit us on Instagram at Off The Strength. And if you're feeling freaky, go ahead and subscribe to the goddamn podcast or just visit our website at offthestrength.com. If you're in the greatest city in the world, that is New York City. You want to come on down the Rockefeller Center. That is where you can see us live and direct at the Block of the Rock at Newsstand Studios.
Yeah, we're going to come up with some Newsstand Studio etiquette for 2025 where, like, the listeners outside, I really do want to be able to talk to them directly at some point. We need to figure out a way to make that happen.
It's never going to happen.
There's some do's and don'ts that we need to add in
there. Scan this QR code.
It's like, hey, take them off the glass,
Ask a question. We'll figure it out live on air now.
We're going to figure out a way to bring that to the forefront, man. No. Other than that, Kyle, I don't have nothing else that I want to lead the people with, man.
Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off The Strength. I am K.R. Jones.
And I'm a trainer called Tony. Peace and much love to y'all out there. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Peace.
See, I hit you with the curveball there.
The switch up.
You wasn't ready for it.
The change-a-roo.
Thought I ain't have it in me.
Hey, I ain't mad at you.
Little did you know.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off The Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.